A boy obsessed with the 50s sci-fi movies about aliens has recurring dreams about a blueprint of some kind, which he draws for his inventor friend. With the help of a third kid, they follow it and build themselves a spaceship. Now what?
Kids go to space and meet an idiot.
Alright guys, here we're going to talk about the movie Explorers. 1985's Explorers, Lee. Had you seen it before?
I had, but my brain had like blocked it out. And I was getting weird. We've watched other movies and talked about other movies where I was getting little weird flashes of this movie, and I kept thinking, is this the movie where this happens? And then it wasn't. And I'm like, what is this white whale movie?
There's a mix
embedded deep in my head.
Navigator and Mac and Me. And
literally Flight of the Navigator. I'm like, yeah, this is the part where at the end, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, that's not this movie at all. What am I thinking of? But but it was murky and hidden behind layers of cobwebs and stuff, and this like unearthed it for me. So yeah.
Yeah. Got a young Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix.
Famous people in this movie.
A great cast, especially grabbing them when they're that young.
Yeah.
No, this is a fun movie that was definitely a big part of my childhood. It played on TV a lot.
Yes.
You know, and another one of those things that made me think as a child, everyone eventually gets a cool adventure, and they do not.
Yeah, the world really lies to you about that.
Yeah.
And you're just waiting maybe today's the day, the spaceship, or the thing.
Are my powers coming? Am I a prince? What's about? Oh, nothing.
Keep jumping off stuff. I'm still not a mutant. This is awful. No, yeah, I definitely watched this multiple times on TV, probably, like you're talking about. But I forgot it, and I think I forgot it for a reason, because it's got some cool things in it, but it's not that good. And now I'm going to forget about it again. Yay. And we will come to blows about this, I'm sure, in the spoilers.
No, I think you're touching on some things that are true, and I will go into my real thoughts as to why those things happened, you know, in spoilers. So if you've seen it or don't care, false over to spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
Alright guys, here we are for the spoilers of Explorers. So Lee, let me hear them spoiler-filled thoughts.
Oh yeah, 2 or 3 times. I'm like, this is the, because it's, you know, this is a spoiler. I'm like, this is the one where at the end, you think the aliens are the, but it's really, they're just kids too. And I'm like, Futurama did a joke of that.
Malvar! Dinner time!
But Mom, I'm playing with my collectibles.
No!
Everyone knows that, and it's not that movie that I just watched. And I'm like, where the hell, what is that? It's some idiot and a big guy, blah, comes in. I'm like, I vividly remember this one scene. How is it not and now I realize it's in a very long, slow movie I don't like that much. And that's why I never remember it.
I'm definitely going to agree with you, where it's weird because it definitely feels long and drawn out. Honestly, everything in that ending bit from the spaceship on, you're like, what is the point of most of this?
Well, you alluded to
you
had done research for that, right? And it's a it's another one of those hatchet jobs where they were like, all right, here's the movie, it's almost done. And the studio's like, actually, it is done. Print it. And he's like, wait, no, I need to film a bunch. And they're like, nope, this is fine.
Exactly.
Like, that's crazy, right? So obviously, I'm not even judging the ending. I'm judging the beginning, the first like 80% of the movie.
I don't think the beginning is that bad. It gets to its stride of horribleness in that how slow that last part is. And it just fills me with all these questions, because like their ship is this cavernous, large, like, what would you even call that? Like a Ninja Warrior course, like at times, with big slides and just open spaces. And anything you think about spaceships, you're like, they'd be anything if cavernous. Like, especially if this is like a cruiser ship. This is the small one.
Yeah.
Like empty space is empty space that is full of air and is controlled for temperature and all this jazz. And what are those moving pieces? And what are all these things?
Okay, yeah, and like, why is there like a spider demon that lives in the engine room or something? No, but this is, every sci-fi thing has a thing where the spaceship's big and I'm not gonna knock it for that.
Well, no, but based what we had so far with this movie, where their spapeship is like, yes, that's what a spaceship would be. This thing that is the size of your body.
Because the humans suck. They had to build the shittiest spaceship ever.
But they honestly, it seemed like it was just a matter of touching a couple buttons to change the size. They could have made something gigantic.
This variable changes its diameter. See, it's a perfect sphere.
No, but
there was no purpose to it.
But the kids are like, we just need a place to sit, and they build this like module thing, which is cool. Which is I think it's the same thing as the Interspace thing almost. And this same team, or like one of the guys attached to this, did Interspace as well. So it's the same little dumb robot. But it kind of looks like the lunar lander. It's made of garbage.
Yeah.
And like that's an awesome kids like Ernest movie thing to like make a little fake little module.
It does feel like the Ernest Scare Stupid
big time.
fucking treehouse.
But the aliens are so advanced. They have interdimensional whatever the hell wheels, so their spaceships are giant.
They give him directions for a circuit board that will make air.
It's oxygen! It's oxygen! We'll turn it on, stupid!
That's awesome.
I just had to upgrade the
just think about all that stuff. And like, I do like it, because if you, as a child, look at it, you're like, wait a minute, what did this kid build? He built this thing? How did it code? How did it do all that stuff? It's like, well, he was just building a receiver, and then the aliens sent all that, it's a hard drive that they filled up with all the good stuff.
But he does have an old, like, IBM or some, it's a beige, like, clickety-clackety computer.
Cutting age IBM.
I made a rough sketch of the terrain in graphics mode for referencing. I'm gonna look for something to experiment with. Ben, don't touch.
But he keeps typing, he's like, hold on, I have to type the coordinates, and it's like a DOS prompt looking thing, and he's typing things into it, and yes, then something crazy's happening.
That computer they use for most of the movie, they, like, you know, the other guy, like, Hordor's his way, is like, I carry it. That's like 100-something pound computer. It's $35,000. It is not like a normal at-home Mac, because they needed something special to be able to do the vector graphicing stuff on there, because that's actually happening on the screen.
You mean a drawing? Well, yes, but in technical terms, it's a vector graphic.
Yes, I mean, his dad, though, is in the Russian mafia or something, and
I wonder a lot about what his dad is in.
How's it going?
Oh, it's fine.
Well, with all this equipment, isn't that my video sync generator?
Nah, but I seriously doubt it, Father.
Is that, I always get his name, is that Cromwell or Duvall? That's
Cromwell? I also fuck his shit up.
All right, I was going to say, I mix up this brilliant character. He's in it for like 2 seconds, but you're like, oh shit, the dad is another guy. He's either the guy from Babe or the guy from the Star Trek First Contact thing. Yeah.
Johan.
My point is, he's a recognizable guy. And they have an accent, and they're all like, oh, the pest control.
I thought they were German or something, but I guess they could be Russian.
Well, then it's Nazi gold. You know, obviously, that's how he affords these computers. But he has a whole weird home life, and then goes down, you know, into the basement, and is the inventor, the tinkerer, the guy that makes the computer things, and
Wolfgang is down in his lab. I'll ring him.
Just they destroy his workshop completely with spheres moving. It's an amazing thing where they move at a frictionless speed, and they can just go through, and they kind of Terminator orb their way through stuff. It's fantastic, but he literally destroys it in an unexplainable way, this whole workshop basement. And the parents just like, oh, it was cool. I told him I was working on rockets or something, and he's like,
I told him it was a rocketry experiment. I just mentioned Werner von Braun, and everything was okay.
That wouldn't have worked at my house.
And I guess on one level you're like, in order to be able to do what you just did here, I must have a brilliant son. But at the same time, you're like, what the fuck? You could have killed everyone.
Yeah, it's like the dad and the son in like lab coats arguing about something. But yeah, all the books have like a bullet hole through them, and he's just like...
The fridge, like the wall, the circuit breaker. Like these are things that it would not be a cheap fix.
Well, if you've got $35,000 computer money, maybe...
Well, it's not supposed to be a $35,000 computer.
I know.
Yeah. And $35,000 in early 90s, too. It's crazy.
It's like $1 million.
Yeah. It's like $4 billion.
But this is a kid's movie, right? And these are kids. Yeah. The one kid is just having dreams. And then drawing and like describing things to the actual smart kid. Who's then implementing his designs.
It's asking for coordinates on X, Y, and Z axes to locate a point in space relative to its terminal. How did you dream this?
Nothing about those drawings could be turned into anything worthwhile.
Of course not, yeah. He's like, I drew a triangle, can we go to space? And he's like, I think so. Hold on, let me check my coordinates. It's amazing, yeah.
They like,
but
just
that's like an hour of the movie,
trapping that kid in an orb during their first accidental test, send that motherfucker to China, and he shoots back up, things are happening. I'm like, they're so lucky it caught his body completely. Because what if it would have been around
Chops
him?
his legs off?
Yeah,
I know.
There was no air.
I couldn't breathe in that thing. What was it like? Well, it was airtight.
I'm like, okay. It seemed like very quickly he noticed the lack of oxygen while he was in that first bubble. But the second bubble, when they're like, we're out of air, they didn't die like instantly.
Yeah, I mean,
they purge it, suck air in, and they're fine for like minutes.
Hold your ears. I'm turning off the field, and the air's gonna rush in for a second.
Yeah. They bring like a tank the first time.
Make sure that you breathe through these hoses most of the time, all right? We're gonna run out of oxygen pretty fast on this thing.
And then the aliens give them a way to like infinitely create a... Yeah, but that's those parts I kind of like, where they're learning and like adapting to things. That's kind of cool. I dig that.
I like that there's a pushback where it's not like, no, it's all fine. They're like, I don't want to die. We can't do this ever again.
Next time we'll bring more air. Next time? Higher. I'm not going to get in that thing again until we find out exactly where those programs are coming from.
What are you doing?
Yeah, the one kid is just like, no, what do you mean that was great? That wasn't great. How dare you? Yeah.
It's still kind of great though. Like even if you're in that position, you're like, yeah, no one has ever done anything like this.
No,
this
he comes
amazing.
around. He's like, okay, never mind. You're right. We should go to space.
We almost didn't come back, but we did come back. Here we are.
I guess this is the proper time to mention it. We have the Gremlins guy.
Yes.
I think is his name Dick Miller? That can't be his name.
I don't know. I can't help it. Can't you understand that?
He's the guy who's like, I got Gremlins, used to drop bombs in World War II. That guy or whatever.
Yep.
He's in this as a helicopter pilot.
Gordon, there was something inside. Did you see it?
It's the same universe.
Who thinks he sees aliens, right?
Well, the newspaper his co-pilot has mentions the incident in the Gremlins town. So it is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Wow, I thought you were joking. Okay, good.
No, it's the same world.
So it's that guy before he got a drinking problem and like retired.
He isn't the same person, but it's the same world.
He's the same person to me. But yes, so that guy's in it. I thought it was actually really sad because he gets really invested. He starts tracking them down.
I want to take another look around. Okay, catch you later.
Yeah.
He says, you don't understand, I've been dreaming about these things when I was a kid too.
The weird thing is, I haven't had dreams like this since I was a kid.
Or something, right? And then
it's a setup with no payoff, though.
So like he sees them taking off and is like, you go get them, kids.
Nice going, kid.
And he like cheers them on in this weird way, but that's profoundly sad to me because that kid, you know, that man 30 or 40 years ago was also getting the messages from like Remulok, but he didn't have a fancy
genius Wolfgang friend.
Yeah, inventor friend to like go to space. And it's this weird, profoundly sad and forlorn, you know, thing in there for no reason. Like you said, there's no loop around to come back at the end.
There's not like when they land, he's there.
Yeah, maybe
like,
they would have filmed that and they would have.
They said the original rough cut of this movie was like over 3 hours.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure there was all kinds of payoff with stuff. Because the way we tie in with the girl joining their group, it seemed like there was a shot of them like flying together before she was ever even in the thing. And I was like, wait, what happened here? I think there was something else.
No, the ending does not even like, it's such a trend. Like we'd have to show you like 10 minutes of the ending to be like, and then there's just voiceover dubbed in. I think we're in the same dream, and they're just like flying. And you're like, all right, this is all just like shove it in,
making out with the girl he's only spied on up to this point.
What are you doing down there?
I saw a cat in your tree, so I thought I'd get it down.
Yeah.
The spying on her is so ludicrous because he's just in a clear orb just outside of her window.
As he did.
There was no plan for this at all. Like he could have been hovering like, you know, half a block away with a telescope looking at her or something, but he was touching her window.
He wants to smell it, yeah.
He couldn't. Airtight.
A completely tight bubble.
Yeah.
No, it's very weird. It's very, because that's like, oh, you know, let's do some hijinks before we realize the responsibility that we've been left with.
Yeah.
And it is some creepy, like, he doesn't.
And it's only one. There's not like multiple hijinks. It's not like a movie that you would expect. We're like, oh, we're building up to, our first test should be this.
They should like get back at a bully or do something to the jocks that messed with them. The guys that beat them up. They should go visit the guys that beat them up.
There was a deleted ending apparently, or maybe unfilmed ending, where the aliens were supposed to give them something that was going to zap away his clothing.
Yes,
and he was just going to be naked.
Something like that. Some perfectly stupid kid thing, like never-ending story type stuff, where at the end it's like, yeah, I'm in the real, I got the powers back from my mystical journey, and I'm pissing people off. Whatever.
I don't like people calling me stuff when I don't know what it is.
Before we move too far away from the Dick Miller character, like I love that he's also like his shift ends and he's like, nah, I gotta search the suburbs during the day because that's where an alien spacecraft would be.
He's super invested in it. Because of his like past with it or whatever, or something about it.
I guess. Like, I wonder what he would have done though had he not run away from him. He's like, "Is this your jacket?" And then he just, you know, bounces.
You were on that UFO, weren't you? Weren't you? Hey, weren't you in there?
Yeah.
And doesn't catch up with them until they're already gone.
You violated Michigan airspace. Some stupid thing. I don't know. Weird. Yeah, because like he goes on this detective journey, which is just a grown man like assaulting a child. Over his jacket.
Well, because there's definitely a tie-in where he had the dreams. So you're like, oh, this could have been a journey you were on, or were going to be on, or destined for. But he definitely saw in the pod what he thought was an alien, and he's like, ah, aliens!
Must land, please.
Jesus!
So like I'm like, wait, are there? It just seems like a lot to not pay off something.
Like I feel sad for that guy because like that could have been me, but I'm old now and it's time. You know, because now that I'm literally old, I'm like this guy's he's you know because he's an actor, so he's like you go get him, and that's him saying like I'm old now. It's too late for me, but you go on the adventure. I want to push that kid out of the way. But why don't you make the seat bigger and sit down in there and go? Yes.
It's a little strange to even need, like, I understand that you have the seats and the shuttle in general for, like, when you do debubble, and they do drop at one point.
We're not on the ground. Of course we are. We're home. No. We're home. No. Field up. Don't do it.
Yeah.
But you would never be planning to do a drop, and you don't necessarily need anything. You could just be sitting Indian style in a little orb. I guess bringing chairs makes sense.
No, like it felt very natural and like kid-like, because they have like there's like a like I'm making this up, so maybe this is not what the clip will show, but there's like a dinosaur toy in the corner, and they have like weird trash and garbage. He's like, I brought snacks. So there's like dumb things happening where because it starts with like we need something to like sit on or something, whatever. Okay, let's put this up. Well, we don't know what's gonna happen, so let's put a
It's the amount of structure, like putting in the windows and this and that, because at that point, if it fails and you're in space, that's not airtight, you're dead anyway.
That's true.
And like, for crash purposes, having like a TV screen and stuff in front of you might only be dangerous.
If we had something to sit in, all three of us could fly around in this thing. We can look on top of the girls' gym.
We have to mount the computer too and have a power source, I think, for that.
It's powered by a 9-volt battery. That's the craziest thing. Art, we're using this right now.
To give you an idea, this is the amount of power that I'm putting in it right now.
And then like they switch it to like a car battery or whatever, and I'm like, but if it's powering it through the computer, like, it's a level of where I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, because they bring it to the field, and he's like, we need something bigger than this, and it's like put a thing down. Yeah, and at that time too, those batteries were like it's this same amount of amps or whatever's in your phone. Yeah, it's great, it's perfect.
It's something where as a kid I was just like, yeah, you do need something bigger than that. But as an adult, I'm like, wait, what the fuck does that even mean?
All these movies, Goonies, everything else, there'd always be some weird explanation of like, wait, that can't work. It's like, no, I'm doing that. It's charging by friction or something. You're like, what the hell is happening? Like, yeah. But that's part of the childlike adventure. That would make you set up traps in like your room. And then your mom would yell at you.
Gotta catch Howie Mandel.
Why am I stuck in a slinky, Lee? Take all this stuff out of your room, Lee.
I want you to put hinges on this thing.
I do love that, like, he tries to do it on the up and up way to go into space. So, Mom, if I wanted to be an astronaut, you'd be okay with that, right?
If I really want to be an astronaut and go out in space and really do that, it'd be okay, right?
Sure, honey, if that's what you really want to do.
Should I follow my dreams, Mom, or should I be a little idiot? And she's like, you should follow your dream.
Yeah. So like, if you were to die in space, on her. She said, sure.
No, it's like, technically you said it's fine. He calls her from like a payphone. You're not going to believe this. I'm on Saturn. And it's like, what? How'd you get to Saturn?
I meant if you were in NASA, we put a sticker on the ship. It says NASA.
It says NASA. God, we spray painted NASA on the side.
Yeah. Do you almost think that it would be their duty to give this technology to our government? Like, you have the ability to make air. That, like, out of
Give
nothing.
Give these people air!
Come on, Cohagen, you got what you want. Give these people air!
Even just for, like, you know, it's a little stuffy in here. Air. It's through technology that a child can get access to. That means the Earth over, we could have just air.
And this is like, and even air for us to go to Mars and terraform Mars.
Underwater colonies, anything.
Exactly. No, I agree, like for, humankind should have this technology. Perhaps not the government exactly.
Sure.
But your point's well taken. This movie should end with all this stuff getting destroyed somehow. And then,
it kind of did. It went into the water.
It sinks in the bay.
But the government was there watching.
But the kid can make it, so it's whatever. Like, that kid has to be like, I forget all the schematics. It has to be one of those like children's short stories or like movies that like closes in on itself, where it's like, wait, hey, I've tried to draw it again, but I like can't do it. It's like fuzzy now. Something got warped out of my brain. Something happens, right? And then like it's like closed. Because otherwise, you're like, so like, this is the usual thing of we had the most interesting thing happen to us that will ever happen to anyone, and our lives will be boring and empty from this point onward. But also they could just make another one. They could just try again tomorrow, right? They have all the resources available to them.
Well, the only thing that would hurt them would be that, like, having a computer, getting a second computer, I think would be difficult. But they're gonna
might take
live
a year.
and grow. Exactly.
They can just, you know, they can go to space.
They can mow lawns. They can do things.
They could take over.
It's all I would be working for.
Yeah. And that bubble might be like impenetrable, right? If it like absorbs friction or whatever you were saying, like velocity.
Well, that can't be true because I got out of it.
What do you mean? While it was there?
If it was in, I thought you meant that the technology inside might be safe.
No, I'm saying like the government might like shoot missiles at it.
Oh, sure.
And it might just bounce off or explode on it and do nothing.
I think that's
probably
what would happen.
If they can stop without becoming like liquids inside of it, then it must do something to forces. I don't know. But yeah, they could just rule the world from inside of their bubble. That's a metaphor for something.
I do like that the aliens touch base on, like, you know, showing they're smart enough to not just come to Earth because, well, there's germs and humans are murderers.
I was gonna say, and you all suck.
They had to disinfect us when we got here just to get this close.
Look at this. Your people just like to blow things up.
Like, that's interesting. They have the ability to beam the most amazing technology we've ever seen to us, but couldn't defend themselves from our germs and our, you know, murderous ways. Is a little strange.
It's a little weird.
Or just wouldn't even want to deal with it.
And they are kids, but we can assume that he's speaking on behalf of the Intergalactic Federation that must exist or something, right? No, some of this is my favorite part of the movie now that I'm an old man and I like sci-fi or whatever. Because I love that one, is that Ethan Hawke? The one kid is like, but you're supposed to explain everything. You're supposed to like help us. And they're like, nah, dude, we suck too. We're just like a little better than you. And it's this weird, he gets like crushed by this knowledge.
And now you've come back to check up on us. And explain everything, right?
It's a very interesting story. It doesn't make any sense at all.
It's a good bookend with like Dick Miller's journey, where these kids go out, into the world like the adults in their life are like useless. The one delinquent kid's dad is like, oh, dad's drunk again. I don't want to go home tonight.
My dad's home. I think I will go over your house.
Okay.
They all abandon that to find like bigger, more grown-up adults from space who are finally going to be the voices of reason, who are going to tell them all the answers and make life make sense. And they're like, our dad's here, we run away. And it just becomes this big anticlimactic, like shitty thing. That I love. But it's like buried in there. It's like barely in there.
But it's buried into a bad, like Robin Williams impersonation, like type of thing.
Yes.
I'm like, ah.
It slices, minces, quinces. Even makes French fries, shoestring, or pickle cuts. But wait, that's not all. Make hundreds of julienne carrots in just seconds.
Stop this. You speak in TV, but then you don't.
I had forgotten that and that's actually voiced by our friend the Doctor, Robert Picardo.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he was all over my childhood and I didn't even know.
Yeah.
But that's so cringy. I think I cringed at that as a young child, where my mind blocked that out and put this movie into like the B or C tier as a result. Because they go to space and the one alien, Whack is his name.
Whack,
just like quotes TV and is a super cringy, horrible one.
I've examined you thoroughly, I've come to my conclusion, I think you're crazy. And the guy says, well, I want a second opinion. And the shrink says, all right, I think you're ugly too.
And the other one is
the
hot.
Sexy one?
Yeah, the sexy one.
Hello.
Who's getting with Wolfgang in there, right? Which is awesome. But no, it's like unbearable cringe. It goes on for so long, and they think it's so good is what makes it so bad. Because
there's a dance sequence.
Yeah,
it's far too long.
They use B-roll of that in the credits. Like, hey guys, don't worry, we filmed a little more of this. You can't get enough. Eat the shit.
No,
like, it's horrible.
That's, I think, what made it feel so slow for me. Like, there's no point in a lot of this. Just shut up. I did love the B-movie parody that he played with the Star Killer character. That was also our boy.
Do you see what I mean?
He was my father. Oh, Star Killer.
I didn't notice that.
So I thought there's a part where just like a piece of the ship falls and he's just like, and that got me chuckling.
This is when they fly. So like
they are in front of the screen.
I was gonna say so it's hilarious because they go do like peeping Tom, like sexual assault or whatever it's called. Then they go like across town and everyone's watching the movie and they're like, that looks so fake. And it cuts to them like an inch from the screen. They're like in front of the screen. It's so funny.
Don't you think we're a little close?
That looks so fake.
It's amazing.
Then they crash through the concession stand, like destroying it, breaking the illusion that they are in a perfect sphere because like stuff is touching them, their ship anyway.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know how you would film that have it not. Like, so yeah, that happened.
I think we're supposed to believe that they bored a spherical hole through that sucker and so it was just falling or whatever. They hand wave that too, like, oh, they're going to tear it down anyway. I'm like, why is this in the movie?
I think they were. We didn't just destroy everything.
We didn't just ruin our town's only pastime, seemingly.
Thunder Road's innocent. We helped.
Who?
That's the name of the ship.
It's perfect. The Thunder Road. I christened thee the Thunder Road.
Oh. One small thing before we wrap up here. I loved that this is so small. This is like, but it's like Stranger Things-y in like a weird way. The one kid, Darren, is the one who has like a bad home life compared to the other two, and he's a delinquent and stuff.
They make the home life worse by blowing up his dad's shop.
Oh no, Darren's the one who like never sees his parents. He's the one who.
No, his is when they test the oxygen thing. They're like, oh no, we ruined my dad's shed. Let's get the hell out of here.
It's like we're supposed to go.
Well, let's go. Before my dad sees his work shit.
Perfect. You never see that dad though, right?
No.
Is that part right? Because I thought he was like, oh, dad, and like you got vibes of like neglect or like abuse or some weird things happening.
I think the only dad you see is German dad.
Yeah.
I need my bug bombs.
I'm sure the bug bomb was down here somewhere.
That delinquent kid is the one who like, because everyone's confused at the end. They're like, oh, it's a giant space pirate, I guess. But Darren is the kid who like clocks. Yeah. That's their dad.
It's their father.
Or whatever, and they all go like, "Oh."
He knows the yelling
because he feels it through interdimensional time and space. And I was like, "That's a nice little detail. I dig that."
That kid picks up on all kinds of things, like the junkyard dog likes bubble gum.
Gum? He likes gum?
Don't you?
Yes.
Not steak. Don't you?
He's the street smart one. We have the dreamer, the technician, and this street smart delinquent palling up together to do adventures. One adventure, only one. One of one knocked out.
Presumably a second one with a girl involved.
With a fourth one for like the TV show that never happened, where they fly around in their dreams and have space sex.
There was definitely like bait for a sequel. Like they gave him that like, oh, this rock or what the fuck it is.
This magical amulet.
What does it do?
Yes.
Something.
No, exactly. I feel like we can use the amulet, and they can be working on rebuilding the thing.
That may have been the thing that takes his clothes away that they were planning on doing.
Probably, right? Yeah. But maybe it does other random stuff, and they start studying it. Meanwhile, the government has like dredged the bay and taken their like ship out, and is like decoding the like code to like backwards engineer their own bubble. And now the sequel is like, we have to stop them. We have to save E.T. We have to win. Yeah.
Reese's Pieces everywhere.
Exactly.
But overall, I think this is like a fun, worthwhile movie. It's very slow. It hits very harder when you're younger than when you're older, because I think you don't have anywhere to be when you're a kid. And you're just like, I got time. And there was commercials when I watched this every time, and I never thought, hey, this is 7 hours long.
Hey, this is my whole day. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I watched it as usual. I think in the particular use case of like, wait a minute, I think I did see this and I forgot all about it. Oh no, like, rewatch it for that archaeological thing. But no, like a normal person, this doesn't have to be on your list of like, you gotta make sure you see this, otherwise you don't know what happened.
I'd say it's like a fun movie that you'd be able, it's good to be able to chime in on someone talking about it, but I don't think this is on your bucket list where you must see this or else you're not gonna be happy.
Yeah.
But you should see this if you want to be happy. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's alright.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Well, then what's holding us up?
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinion